Welcome to the Dynasty Tailgate podcast, sponsored by the Semi-Pro Fantasy Sports Podcast Network. We are back, 2 weeks off. Kind of did like a little rundown a couple weeks ago, just of the main players to pay attention to going into 2023. But we're back tonight. We're going to tackle some college football topics. Joe, welcome back.
It's a pleasure to be back, Billy. Nothing's better than a Dynasty tailgate. I learn a ton. You get me ready for everything because, I watch college football, but you're just the encyclopedia for college football, and picking your brain helps us not only at the Semi-Pro Fantasy Network, but for the Offensive Points podcast. It helps me at the Senior Bowl. I love it. So
For sure.
pleasure
I don't
to be
think
back.
I don't think the Senior Bowl this year is going to be quite as spicy. We'll see how the season progresses, but there is a ton of underclassmen this year that are going to be at the top of the draft. So I don't know if we're going to get as many fireworks as we did in last year's, but this year will be quite a bit of fun. Still, even without as many headlining names being there, but it'll be fun. Joe, we have a good old-fashioned fight to get to later on in the episode. Jimbo Fisher versus Nick Saban. Cannot wait for that. Alabama versus Texas A&M. It's the NIL battle of the century already after one whole year of NIL so far.
I'm so ready to talk about that, man.
I know.
I saw some of the clips on Sports Center. I haven't dug into it as much, so I'm waiting for you to fill me in with that one as well.
Yeah, it's great. Let's tailgate. All right. Well, before we get into that heavyweight battle, which I cannot wait to fully discuss with you because it's amazing. First off, let's talk about 100%. This is one of the shirts from our shop on Etsy. If you want to join the Possum Gang, OP, that's our other podcast we do. We were talking about fantasy football and everything actually football related. If you want to join the Possum, what is it? What do we call it? The OP?
Passel.
The Passel. If you want to join the Passel, if you want to just buy any of our shirts, we got Semi-Pro Fantasy merch on there as well. IDP Army merch on there as well. Go ahead, get in on the shop. Joe, do you know the website off the top of your head?
It will be linked to everything right now.
There you go.
Josh did send me a text with it. Let me see if I can find it.
I was about to say, I know it's Etsy, and if you search
it's Semi-Pro Fantasy on Etsy.
Okay. If you search Semi-Pro Fantasy on Etsy, it'll take you directly to our shop. There'll be, I don't know, I think we got like 6 or 7 varieties of shirts on there, plenty of colors. I'm wearing one now. It's really super soft. My wife is already excited to use it as a sleep shirt at some point in time. So ladies out there, you definitely might want to grab one too, because these shirts are very, very soft. But, all right.
And Jordan's got the sweet NFT one
yes,
out there. So it's got a bear on it. It's
if
awesome.
If you want to join the Not Okay Bears gang, I don't even know what they're called, the Not Okay Bear group of NFT owners, then go ahead, buy a shirt. Show your love for that. But, all right, enough shilling out of our merchandise. Let's talk about some college football. So, we're going to start off this episode with a little bit of the 2023 prospect update. The main one I want to talk about is Jordan Addison. So Jordan Addison was the Pittsburgh wide receiver. He won the Biletnikoff Award, which goes to the best wide receiver in college football. The players like Jamar Chase have won this. Marquise Brown may have won this a couple years ago. It usually goes to the overall best wide receiver in college football. But he played with Kenny Pickett last year. Some may say that Kenny Pickett was boosted by how well Jordan Addison was at playing the receiver position. Who's to say? But we'll see this year if he can hold on to that, because he transfers from Pittsburgh to USC to play with Lincoln Riley and the bunch of deserters from the Oklahoma program. Joe, what do you think about Jordan Addison?
I love the talent. I think he's a hell of a receiver. I think the biggest question here is, what does this do for Caleb Williams?
I mean, the thing is Caleb Williams is probably already the 2024. If we had to pick who was going to be the number one pick in that draft right now, it probably is going to be Caleb Williams. Of course, we'll have to wait 2 years to find that out for sure. Last year, Caleb Williams kind of made do with whatever Lincoln Riley was planning at Oklahoma, which I don't think he was actually planning on doing anything. I think Caleb Williams was kind of just making everything happen. But he was really good at Oklahoma. And so you add arguably the best receiver in the nation. A lot of people will say Jackson Smith and Jigba. I can't really argue with that fully right now. But Jordan Addison, probably number 2 or 3 on that list. A lot of people will still have the guy from LSU, Boot, ahead of him. I think that's how you say that name.
I always want to say Butte.
Butte.
It just sounds better.
I'm not, I'm not totally positive, but a lot of people will put him still up there above Jordan Addison. Personally, I think I'm going to go into their season with Addison number 2, just because I saw what he did last year, and that was with Kenny Pickett. Not that there's anything wrong with Kenny Pickett, but I just think you saw what he did with Kenny Pickett, and now you're about to see what he does with a huge upgrade at quarterback in Caleb Williams.
Do you think he's going to take on Smith and Jigba?
That's a hard one, because Smith and Jigba, was way better than Chris Olave last year. I don't think that's close. And then Garrett Wilson, they were pretty close as being the 1-2. And I would say in Jigba definitely had the more splashy plays and definitely had the better games out of the two. I just think Garrett Wilson might have been just a tad bit better as a route runner, but he has an opportunity to do that. I think going into the season, like this year's wide receiver class is just special. And I know we've said that last year. We said that 2 years ago with Jamar Chase and in them. I understand. I'm just saying this year is pretty darn special too. There are not a lot of really tall guys. It's not a lot of 6'3", 6'4" guys. We're talking like the 5'11", 6 foot, but we're talking about killer route runners. We're talking speed demons. We're talking the Jamar Chase build of athlete. Like that is who we're talking about in this class. And there's 4 or 5 that I could say comfortably are going in the first round. You could probably build that out to, I don't know, around 7 by the end, at least to start off the year. So, I mean, that should tell you right there, Joe, this is going to be a special class.
Yeah, I mean, Addison had almost 1,600 yards last year and 17 touchdowns. Was it due to the lack of anyone else at Pitt, or
pretty much? I mean,
yeah, pretty
much, yeah. And Kenny Pickett was definitely slinging the ball a lot more than he did. Like Kenny Pickett's best year was last year. A lot, one of the main arguments against Kenny Pickett was that he had played 5 years of college football. And his 5th year is the best year that he had. Is very strange, and it kind of coincided with the rise of Jordan Addison. So, I mean, you can make the argument. It's the same argument we had about Sam Howell, by the way, and that kind of proved things out. He lost De'Ami Brown, and then last year he was good, and he had Josh Downs. And Josh Downs is going to be a good receiver, but did Sam Howell get boosted by Josh Downs? You could make that argument. Some quarterbacks overcome it. Joe Burrow had Justin Jefferson and Jamar Chase. He just happened to be a really good quarterback.
And Terrace Marshall.
Yes, I don't want to leave out Terrace Marshall and Clyde Edwards-Helaire too. Who knows? Yeah. He's catching balls. And Thaddeus Moss, your boy. Yeah. They were all there catching some passes. So yeah, I guess we'll see what happens. But this year's USC team is going to be really good offensively. Now, defensively, they're going to have a lot of issues. They have not done enough, in my opinion, and the coaching staff, who I know very well because they all just left OU to go to USC, is not great. I don't love any really of the coaching staff for the defensive side of the ball. The offense, though, very special. It's a very special group. So I guess we'll see what happens with USC this year. It's looking like they're probably going to start the season at number 4 in the nation. And offense is going to get them really far, but I think they're going to have a similar problem. Lincoln Riley is always going to have the problem of when he plays the good teams, Alabama, Georgia, all those kind of teams, offense just simply isn't enough. So we'll see. I think you could comfortably say Jordan Addison may be the best receiver Lincoln Riley's had. I'm saying that with clenched fist because CeeDee Lamb exists, but I think Jordan Addison might be better than CeeDee Lamb. That's a take that I'm not married to at the moment, but I'm going to put it out there into the universe for now. We'll see
kind
what
of a
happens.
similar type player, though, aren't they? I mean, it's not something he hasn't seen before.
Yeah, Jordan Addison's that level of special. So
Yeah.
I wouldn't say maybe they're on equal footing. Maybe is how I would put that instead.
Yeah.
I think that he's going to be featuring Jordan Addison quite a bit, which they have a good receiving core there anyway. So, I mean, I don't think they're going to have a problem, getting anybody else involved. They got Mario Williams, who was a former 5-star receiver, a couple other guys, which we'll dive into at a later date. But you just have just those two guys, Mario Williams and Jordan Addison there. It's going to be freaky good.
So it looks like they're playing Rice week 1.
Mm-hmm.
So for CFB DraftKings, are we firing up Jordan Addison at whatever price he is
I would
at?
yes, because he's going to be there to prove a point. And I get it. They're going to be there to prove a point this entire season until they play Oregon. Well, by the way, if whenever USC plays Oregon, take Oregon. That defense is going to annihilate Lincoln Riley's offense. They're just okay. We'll get this. You see, Joe, you get me going.
You get all fired up for the season.
Exactly, because Oregon has the top 2 linebackers in the nation on their team playing at the same time, and I don't know how Lincoln Riley's going to figure out a way around that, but we'll see. They still have an offensive issue. I get it. There's a whole other part to that, but that'll be fun. I can't wait to get into that later on in the season. But USC, that kind of segues me perfectly into my next topic, which is transfer quarterbacks from this season. So we had, there was plenty of transfer quarterbacks. I just want to focus on 4 right now. So Caleb Williams transfers from Oklahoma to USC. Now he's not available in this draft. He won't be available until 2024. My other 3 are Keaton Slovis. He went from USC to Pittsburgh to take over for Kenny Pickett. Spencer Rattler, who everybody's kind of ridden off, which I think that's a mistake. Went from Oklahoma to South Carolina. And then Jackson Dart, who was also at USC, went from USC to Ole Miss. So Jackson Dart not going to be available until 2024, but Keaton Slovis and Spencer Rattler are going to be available in next year's draft. Of these 4, I think Caleb Williams will matter the most because I think a lot of other players on USC are going to eat off of that plate, basically, because Caleb Williams is just going to make everyone else better around him. I'd say the worst of those is probably Keaton Slovis. I did not like him at USC, and now Pitt doesn't have Jordan Addison. I don't think the prospects are very high for them to continue being good this year, but it's neither here nor there. Do you have any opinions on any of those players, Joe?
I guess the biggest thing about this is not so much, how they boost their draft stock or anything, but Spencer Rattler kind of fell off a massive cliff. I mean, I remember 2 years ago there was talk he was the next Patrick Mahomes. He was the best thing ever.
That take existed. It was.
I remember that. I won't say who said it, but
I was about to say we don't need to spread around who was saying things like that out loud.
Do you think that him going to South Carolina, he can kind of revamp his prospects?
So here is what I think is good about that for Spencer Rattler is the pressure is now off.
Yeah,
he did not go to Georgia. He did not go to Alabama. He didn't go to some place that's going to have Clemson. He didn't go somewhere where there's going to be a lot of expectations. Nobody's expecting South Carolina to be amazing this year. Do I think they'll exceed expectations? For sure, but they're not expected to. And that's mainly what Spencer Rattler needs. He went from literally his first year wasn't great. He only lost 2 games, but he played really well. To the second year, he had, people were putting him, myself included, up there with potentially Patrick Mahomes because of his style of play. It was loose. It was let me wait until the receiver gets open downfield and give him a chance to make a really good play on the ball. There was a lot of good things that Spencer Rattler did at Oklahoma his first year that he was just not capable of doing his second year. And I think that with South Carolina, he's going to have a really good opportunity to showcase that skill set a little bit more because, he's going to play in the SECs. They're going to play good competition. They're not going to win, but probably like 8 or 9 games. But still, that's going to be really important for showing his tape, at least, that he's playing in these games. He's showing what he can do. And hopefully an NFL team can, kind of put aside what happened last year with Oklahoma, he getting benched, Caleb Williams coming in, Lincoln Riley giving up on the team in September. Hopefully that can just get washed under the rug and we can get Spencer Rattler back up there into the first round.
Yeah, it'll be exciting to see what happens to him. Slovis, you already brought it up. He goes there. Jordan Addison is not there anymore. I mean, is Pittsburgh – you kind of touched on it. Are they even competitive this year?
See, so a lot of people have Keaton Slovis as like a sneaky, like could get up there in the first round kind of guy. Yeah, that's what because the big thing this year is a lot of people are saying that there's a potential of 7 quarterbacks in the first round. I only have 6 right now, but a lot of people are expecting Slovis to maybe be one of those guys that sneaks up in there to the first round. And I just don't see it with Pittsburgh's talent. I don't know how he's even going to be. Like, he wasn't great at USC. He had Drake London there. Like, you're not good. Well, okay. Drake London was good. Keaton Slovis was not good. And I just don't see how you can manufacture Pittsburgh's now really bad wide receiving core into something that's going to make you into a first-round draft pick. You would have to really be really good and outplay that roster's potential, and I just don't see how he does it.
He's trying to build a house of cards with a fan behind him, so that kind of seems like what he's trying to do.
1,000% right. And I mean, it wasn't his fault that Lincoln Riley came into USC, cleaned out the quarterback room, and brought in his own guys. There's nothing he could have done about that.
Yeah.
But
now, did he choose Pitt before or after Addison left?
Before, and that's
God.
Yes, that is part of the problem. He probably saw, hey, Kenny Pickett, who was an average quarterback before he had Jordan Addison. Hey, Kenny Pickett, got himself into a first-round draft pick by playing at Pitt with Jordan Addison. I wonder what I could do there if I went and played there. That's probably what was on his mind, and you got to feel bad for the guy that he still did that, or he's still going through it. He's still going to play this year. It's just going to be a rough one, in my opinion, for him.
Yeah.
And I don't know. Honestly, the Pittsburgh coach is quite mad about how this Jordan Addison NIL deal went down. And I cannot say that I blame him. I really cannot. This one's the most fishy one yet, honestly. Like this one is super suspicious.
So what exactly happened here?
So the argument was that Jordan Addison. So here's the thing: Jordan Addison opens up his availability to be back and go to a different school transfer. Pitt thought they had him to come back. Texas comes in out of nowhere and is like, hey, we're going to give you like $1.5 million to come down here and play at Texas. Texas thinks they had and USC was in the mix too, talking to him stuff, mentioning their brand deals, but it wasn't quite at what Texas was willing to offer. So literally the day before he announces he's going to Texas, USC comes back with $3.5 million for this upcoming season to come play there. And obviously, if you're Jordan freaking Addison, you're not going to turn down $3.5 million. I will remind you that second-round rookies in the NFL are only getting paid one in I think they said the guy that went to Pittsburgh Steelers, damn, I forgot his name. Pickens is only getting paid $1.75 million this year to play NFL football for the Pittsburgh Steelers. Jordan Addison is going to get paid $3.5 million to play one season at USC. I see the issue with NIL. I see the potential issue with NIL. I get it. You're giving that money to an athlete and you don't even know what what they're worth. But
you got all these students in debt after they fucking leave college. What's that going towards? Jordan Addison.
Why would, here's the thing. And a lot of people are saying this even. Jordan Addison, why would you even leave USC next year if you're going to get paid $3.5 million? Why would you want to go get a rookie salary somewhere? I mean, you can argue to get started on your next contract, but your contract with you get $7 million for 2 years worth of work at USC, or you could go play in the NFL and make a mill, and you might not even start. Like, I mean, he's going to start, but still, you had the whole rookie hazing and all that to go through.
Yeah,
It's just, oh man, it's something. This NIL.
It's great for
NIL
these
thing.
guys that aren't necessarily great NFL that doesn't transfer to the NFL. At least they can get their bag while they have all the hype and stuff. So I'm really excited about that. But this is just the tip of the iceberg. I mean, it's going to get insane, and I'm here for it. I love it.
Oh, I love it too. We'll touch on Jackson Dart real quick, then we'll play a commercial. Jackson Dart goes to Ole Miss to play with Lane Kiffin. I can't argue what he's doing. Jeff Lebby, who was the offensive coordinator at Ole Miss, left to go to Oklahoma. So depends on who you think was the actual mastermind behind that offense. A lot of people credit Lane Kiffin. Some people credit Jeff Lebby. Whichever one you believe. Either way, Jackson Dart goes there. And I still think he was a great quarterback at USC. He deserved that job over Caleb Williams, in my opinion, but that's beside the point. But he goes there. I think Ole Miss is going to be fine. They're pretty good at churning out talent. He's going to fill in for Matt Corral, who's in the NFL now, and I think they'll be fine. But, all right, so let's take a quick break, and then we'll come back and talk Jimbo and Saban.
Hey, IDP Army. Hope you guys and gals are enjoying the episode we have for you today. We want to take a little break and tell you about our partners at Underdog Fantasy. Use the link in the description or the code IDP Army when you sign up. They're going to give you a deposit match bonus of up to $100, and you can play all kinds of sports on Underdog Fantasy, not just NFL. They have NFL, NBA, MMA, PGA. They have everything. If you're into any sport, they generally have something there for you. Go check them out. Tell them we sent you. Go sign up for the Best Ball Mania 3 draft. That is their giant draft that they have every year. Best Ball draft. The winner of that this year is going to win $1 million. The total prize pool is $10 million. We've got content on the channel for it. We have episodes of the podcast for it. We have rankings for it. Go sign up for Underdog Fantasy. That's where we play best ball. Hopefully we will see you in a draft. Thanks, and now back to the show.
All right, welcome back. Go get an Underdog draft. Joe does these things every day. They're a lot of fun.
All the time.
And use our promo code, IDP Army. Put it in there. Get your deposit matched and go get in some drafts. There's some really good and fun ones in there right now. You can also do basketball. You can do golf. You can do any sport pretty much that's available right now, and you will have a lot of fun. They got baseball, I'm pretty sure. And then obviously football futures are always going to be there. And those are the fun ones to do right now because you're getting players that you would normally get a lot, quicker than you normally would. Because
this is the time to absolutely rake in the chips right now on Underdog. So first of all, for that $100 bonus, if you put $100 in and they match it, which they will for $100, I mean, you are getting, I can't even do the math here. You're getting 33 drafts for free that you can win money on. And
yeah,
it's awesome. You get that $3 draft, you throw it in a 12-man league, you end up winning it. Boom. It's huge. So I won a lot of leagues last year, and the teams that always tended to win were the ones that I drafted early because, guys, semi-pro fantasy, you're watching offensive points, you're watching IDP Army, you're watching Dynasty Tailgate. Billy prepares you for this all year. You know who these guys are, and no one else does. It's the most beautiful thing ever. So get on Underdog, check it out. It's fun. I do drafts all the time at work. I'll just sit there with my phone on. It lets me know when my pick is up. And you can do drafts in, 20, 30 minutes, and it's a really good time. Plus, it prepares you for the upcoming redraft season because you start to see where these people are going. You start to see who goes high, who's dropping down boards, and that can help you formulate your own plan for your fantasy football season. So highly recommend it. We're on there. We'll be running drafts and stuff. So let us know. We'll get you in one of these drafts if you want.
Yeah, for sure. They're a lot of fun, and you don't have to even be in a state that gambling is legal. You can be in any state that you can play like DraftKings or any kind of thing like that, where you're just doing not the skill-based fantasy games. You can do an Underdog draft, and you will be able to play. So if you're in a state like that, go ahead, throw some money in, get started. Okay, Joe. Let's finish this out with the battle royale that's going to be shadowing over college football for this entire season. I'm glad they're giving us offseason content, and that is Jimbo Fisher versus Nick Saban. So how this started, Nick Saban flat out said Jimbo Fisher paid for players to come play at Texas A&M. That's how it started. Like that is good enough right there, but it's only like spiraled out of control since. So is Nick Saban wrong? No, he's not. I would say Jimbo Fisher doesn't necessarily, it's not like he's handing players money, so it's not technically Jimbo Fisher paying players to come play at Texas A&M. He's just got, collectives that work outside of Texas A&M that pay players to come play there. And that's pretty much what it is. Yep. And I think this is pretty rich coming from Nick Saban, who we all know has been paying players to come to Alabama for the last 13 years now.
Yep.
If you go back to his very first draft class that he had, or not draft class, recruiting, well, it might as well be a draft class, but recruiting class that he had back in 2008, that was the one where he landed Julio Jones. And like a lot of those players that were in that recruiting class were from Alabama. Now, the argument that you probably are like, well, they're from Alabama. Obviously, they want to go play at Alabama. His same reasoning that he does not like what's going on at Texas A&M is why people don't understand how Alabama's been doing this for 13 years now, because literally they would not have chosen Alabama unless there was money coming in. I'm sorry. I know that is going to hurt some feelings out there for people. Julio Jones was not going to go play at Alabama because of the love of the team. Hell no, he was not. I'm not trying to slander Julio Jones. I'm not saying he accepted any benefits or anything, but I'm saying that there's no way Julio Jones picks Alabama, who just came off of a 7-6 season. They finished 5th in the SEC West at the time. They were not even close to being good, like at all. And they suddenly end up with Julio Jones, who was a super, super, super good recruit from that area in Alabama. But, I mean, come on, Joe. Like, Saban's trying to pull the wool over our eyes. Like, we know Alabama's been doing this for years.
We all know the shady shit that they have been involved in as far as landing players. And now it seems like the playing field's leveled a little bit. Maybe not, because, Texas probably has more billionaires than any other state in this here nation. But, yeah. So I don't know. I think the playing field's leveled. And you're right. It is very rich that Saban is now coming out and saying that it's unfair. And
it's insane for him to say anything, Joe. He's been not him directly. Alabama, though. And here's what the thing. Anytime you come at an Alabama fan about like, hey, they're their success. That's how they've been getting all these players. They want to come here and they want to win national titles. That was not the case in 2008. And they still had the number 4 ranked recruiting class that year. They did not win a national title for years before that. Like, not since the Bear Bryant days, I don't think. And all of a sudden, Nick Saban gets there from the NFL, who he failed with the Dolphins. You're like that's the story you're trying to tell us, is that he came failing with the Dolphins. He comes to Alabama, and all of a sudden, after his first season going 7-6 or whatever, it was a losing record overall, and he immediately has the number 4 draft class in the entire nation the next season. How are you going to make that make sense for me? Because you can't, and that's the thing. So Nick Saban, please just get off your high horse for a second. Like, we know what you've been doing. I get it. And Jimbo Fisher's not being as quiet about it as Alabama's been for the last 13 years. And the thing is like, people like want to say it's because of the success Alabama's had. And sure, that might be what it is now, but that's not what it was 10 years ago. It just wasn't. They won 1 national title, and they still have just kept the machine rolling. So I don't know, man. It's just kind of annoying to hear that coming from him.
Yeah. No, it's good to hear the fireworks here. It's like the father-son battle, and they're from the same coaching tree on top of that, which is just phenomenal.
Exactly. And Jimbo is just like the most country guy ever, which is just perfect. And I love that he's been denying everything, and he has the right to do that, because it's not, like I said, it's not like he's paying the players himself. It's just Texas A&M's taking advantage of NIL. They had the best draft. Why I keep saying that? The best recruiting class of all time this past season. So I can get why Nick Saban's salty as hell about it. I understand why. It makes total sense. But same time, the games are still played on the field, Joe. It does not matter. Alabama can say that, we have all of the 5 stars. We should win every year. Sorry, the playing field has been leveled quite a bit. By the way, Texas A&M plays Alabama October 8th. Just write that on your calendar right now. They play in Alabama this year. Just go ahead, set you a little notification for that game to be happening, because it is going to be quite the fireworks show on that October 8th night. You just assume College Game Day is going to go there. Hopefully they're both undefeated. Texas A&M is still good. They lost Isaiah Spiller. They lost Jalen Wiedemeyer. They lost a couple of like DeMarvin Leal, a couple players. But they should be, like I said, number 1 draft class. Dang it. I need to put a jar or something every time I say draft class instead of recruiting class. They had literally had the number 1 recruiting class of all time this past season. So you got to assume a couple of those guys are going to come in and be immediate players. They still have Devin Achane, or a running back, who's going to be really good for them. They still have, I think, Calzada is the quarterback. I'll have to double check that. He might not even win the job by the time it's all said and done. But this is going to be a fun season, Joe. I cannot wait to get further. This is a storyline in June. I cannot wait. We have a whole July is usually the freak out month. I'm glad we're getting this started, and we're not even in June. We're in May still. But I'm excited that we got 2 more months of this madness.
We're getting a lot of content this early. I hope it keeps rolling in.
Yeah, for sure. All right, Joe. Well, that's all I have for this episode. Is there any last minute things you want to get out?
No, just hope everyone has a good Memorial Day weekend and do these damn underdog drafts. I'm not going to get off of this, man. When I'm bored, when I'm laying in bed at night, I can watch TV and that's cool, but I'm usually doing an underdog draft because last year I made a lot of money at the end of the year. It was amazing. So, you check the bank account in February and you're just like, well, damn, that was well worth it. So you need to be doing that when you're bored.
Exactly. So go get you in some underdog drafts. Tune in. I'll probably be back next week with more Dynasty Tailgate stuff. Just had to come in and talk about some things that had happened over the last 2 weeks while I've been away. Joe, get us out of here.
Guys, it was a pleasure riding with you, and let's tailgate next week. We'll see you then.